Actually, I just got here yesterday. I already feel like I've been here a while. I got in at about 9:30 yesterday. Haven't slept since then. The rain last night kind of made that impossible. All my clothes were soaked, so me and a bunch of people got and headed towards Brooklyn, hid out in a bar until the sun came up. Because you're soaked and you're going to be, being out here in the wind and the rain, you're going to get hypothermia. They don't let us have tents, they don't let us have bathrooms, and then they say we're a health hazard. We're a health hazard because they're, trying to kill us off, essentially. I don't think they want anyone to die, but they're hoping people get colds and get sick and miserable and go home. So, but they didn't. More people showed up as the rain increased. So.
How does it feel that knowing that the whole world is kind of getting together on this?
Sometimes you get goosebumps. You're never sure if it's your own imagination or it's actually something you feel. The eeriness I felt was on our first march, seeing all the bankers leaning out of their windows, staring down at you. Kind of this odd feeling of I'm all the way, very symbolic, all the way up there, can't touch them. We scream and scream and scream, and they probably can barely hear our voice. And I think that's pretty accurate to how they behave. Well, you kind of have to start from the ground up. If you want to have an educated economy, you don't start offering more education jobs. You start educating your population. And when there's more money, and the populations have the money to send their kids to school, to actually go to good schools, good teachers, good classes, plenty of time, to work with the professor, work with their teacher on things. Things like that will come from very root-based changes. And the biggest change is everyone here wants something. They're all unique individuals. Everybody has their own dream here, which is why every person you talk to, they'll give you a different reason why they're here. And that's because everybody here has a dream, and we all agree that there's something big standing in the way of all of them. And the solutions, I think we'll find, if this picks up and goes much more mainstream, I think we'll find that we are going to hone in on the things that are really keeping our politics from being effective and helping us. And once people are able to elect the representatives that will actually support their interests, their dreams, their passions, when that happens, you'll fix a lot of these problems. You'll start seeing all kinds of changes that people want. You'll see better social connections. I think it'll be a real groundswell, a real investment in clean, fair politics, a real good separation, keeping the banks from crashing the economy. Look at this presidential term. A bad economy does not do well for politics. Even in this environment, it ratchets up tensions, it makes people snipe each other. And in a good economy, when everything's good, it's more about how do we progress forward, not how do we stop from falling back. And in a good economy, with good politicians, I think everything would be a lot better. Like I said, further down the road, things like global economies and things like that, every idea is worth exploring. I think the big issue a lot of people have right now is any idea isn't being explored, because you're absolutely right. They get money, and there is a stipulation on that money. There is a requirement. That money is given for purposes and reasons and favors. And if they don't, they can go against that. They can take the money, win, and then be a, true and aspirant politician and basically do what they think is right for the people, listen to the people, and ignore the people who funded their campaign. But when the re-election time comes around, that corporation is going to jump on the opponent. And the only way to stop that is to stop them both from basically being able to fight between politicians. I would argue maybe that C-SPAN, some kind of state-sanctioned TV, is a very dangerous concept in a lot of ways, but a state-sanctioned C-SPAN channel where it's the only place where you have political debates, where everyone has an equal amount of time, everyone gets a shot, that would be a much more fair system, I think. It would keep a lot of the money out. It wouldn't be a big campaign race. It would be them in a chair with their brain against the American people's judgment. And I think that in time, with that kind of system, you'd end up with a much better Congress. Well, these are my family right now. Don't get me wrong, I have a mother, a father, and a sister, but these are my family right now. And I feel, like I said, I have not run into anybody like me here. Every single person has been different. And yet, as I've learned more about them, I love what I see about them. I love what's different. And that's kind of that sharing. That's caring about each other, caring about each other's goals. And I think the key is then electing politicians that help everyone reach their dreams and goals. There are a lot of things, we don't have a lot of the answers. We know there's problems, but it takes, a lot of time and admittedly a lot more years than I have on me to really figure out a lot of these issues. I think I can help. I think I can be of use, but it takes a lot of different people. It takes a lot of time and effort. And I think that in time, understanding each other, our needs, will help us elect politicians that help everyone get what they want.
And why did you personally show up here?
Well, I suppose my long-standing reason would be I want the banks to pay for 2008. They never paid. We paid, we still pay, and they're off, just doing their own thing now. Back to doing the same things, actually, that will crash us again in 10 to 15 years. In 1999, when the Glass-Steagall Act was being repealed, there was a senator named Byron, and actually, I don't know if he was a senator, he might be a congressman, but he gave a speech, and he said, in 10 years, we are going to tank. This economy is going to tank because of removing the Glass-Steagall regulations. 10 years later was 2009, the deepest part of the recession. So he predicted it pretty accurately, and they're doing the same thing again. Our economy goes like this. It goes up and down, up and down. The only period of time in our history where we didn't have a crash and boom economy was after the Great Depression, when FDR instigated these regulations. And for 50 years, we had no bank failures, no bank crashes. 1980s come along, regulations start getting stripped off, everything goes to hell. Back to crash and burn, back to bubble and boom, back to them getting rich and us losing everything. And I haven't lost everything. I have money. I have plenty of money to go to school, but I don't care about that right now. And maybe that's a bad use of my money or my opportunity, but there's nothing that makes me happy about being in college when I know that all these people who would love to be there can't be, or they were and they can't get a job, or it's too late and they're older and they feel like they can't go back to school, and there's not good paths. And two of the people I sleep next to are homeless. They're not in this park for fun. If they weren't in this park, they'd be on a street corner.